I would like to welcome everyone and thank you for being here today. This webinar is on modern workspace management platform from the Tech Solutions. We are a Microsoft native solution provider, and one of the areas we specialize in is cost-effective, secure cloud endpoints through the Azure virtual desktops. Before we begin, a few housekeeping tasks. I see quite a few participants here. All the lines would be muted for now, and that is because we just want to make sure that we are able to get through the content, without any interruptions. But having said that, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to add those in the chat, and we have people monitoring the chat system. They'll be able to respond to you. Or after the presentation is done, we will have a good 15 minutes session on Q&A where we can take this. Right? So without much ado, let's go ahead and begin this. Next slide, please. Pratik. For the next 45 minutes, we will talk about the virtual desktop infrastructure, how it began and how it has morphed or through the years, right? And how has it dramatically evolved? And then we will talk about why the a virtual desktop being what it is right now, there is a need for a management platform on top of it to monitor and govern it. And that is where our MWM comes in quickly, right? Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, this is a Gartner technology adoption roadmap that was released just yesterday, just in time for our webinar today. And I would like to take your attention down to three specific areas here: the endpoint detection response, the autonomous endpoint management, and the endpoint access isolations. And the reason why I want to do that is because these are the areas that are the backbone for our MWM platform solution. And it is a validation of sorts to show that the MWM platform or the principles behind which it was built, we have been in the right direction. And we have been doing it for the 6 months now. Now that Gartner has come out yesterday with these technology adoptions, I think we have been on the right roadmap so far. And it is a validation of sorts to show that um, the key fundamentals against which we have built the platform is what is needed in the market right now. Next slide, please. Okay, this is one of the most important slides that I want, and I want to spend a bit of time around this. Right? And before we begin, I want to let's clarify a couple of things here. Already within the first three slides, I have thrown a couple of jargons at you people. Endpoints. Now, what exactly are these endpoints? How do you define it? Endpoints are nothing but a gateway to your compute device to the outside world. Let's take the laptops for instance. When you connect the laptop to the network through the Ethernet cable, at that point, your laptop becomes an endpoint. Right? Similarly, another uh, jargon that we need to be familiar with is the virtual desktops. Right? And what do we mean by a virtual desktop? Virtual desktop are nothing but the software-based emulation of your Windows and Microsoft experience that you see on the laptops or desktops. Right? It involves technologies. It started off with at least with the technologies like screen scraping, but it has moved way beyond that. It has started doing actual streaming of the experience itself through, right? And if you look at the list here of the different endpoint deployment models, you can see that over the period of time, these models have evolved, starting with the physical laptops to the on-prem VDI or the Citrix, the VMwares of the world, to the Azure virtual desktop, which are basically cloud-based virtual desktops. Azure comes with AVD, while other providers like AWS comes with their own services called workspaces, right? And our MWM currently is built on top of the AVD. And finally, we have the cloud PC from Microsoft, which is the Windows 365. At this point, all the different models are available, and they are running, and they also serve a specific purpose. Each of these actually serve a specific purpose, right? For instance, if you take the physical laptops, in cases where we have field workers who are going into areas where there's no network connectivity, right? They will still need the physical laptops. These are one specific endpoint deployment that does not need network connectivity all the time. You can get some work done offline without network connectivity on a physical laptop, something that you already know of, obviously, right? And then when you can connect, whenever you have the facility to connect back to the network, you can connect back and then send it up to the network, right? So, like each of these options here have a specific characteristics. There's a specific need, right? They have their own pros and cons also. For instance, the first two, the physical laptop and the on-prem VDI, right? When it comes to setting it up, the IT overhead is close to 3 to 5 FTEs for every 500 devices that needs to be set up, which is pretty big, right? Compare that to the cloud-based ones, the IT overhead is completely less than compared to what the first two need, right? So that's one advantage of using the cloud PCs. The IT overhead is very less compared to the others, right? Having said that, now when you talk about cloud based VDIs, there are specific billing mechanisms that come into play. Now, if you look at the first two, the physical laptops and the on-prem VDI, they are completely capex models. You need to have upfront investment to set it up. Now you move from there to the cloud-based models like the AVDs and the Windows 365. It moves completely away from the capex model to the opex model, right? And that is the beauty of the cloud billing model also. It runs on OPEX. Now, what do they mean by OPEX? I would always like to think of this as the electricity bill in our apartments, right? Now, if I have my AC running 24 bar 7, I am going to get a bill shock at the end of the month with my EB, right? Same happens whenever you have an environment running on the cloud. If you keep it running for 24 bar 7, you are not utilizing the pay per use model that the cloud offers, and you're going to have problems with your bill at the end of the day. You need a switch. You need a switch to switch it on and switch it off. I have a switch here for my AC. When I'm done with my work, when I'm exiting my room, I switch it off. Similarly, for the AVDs, any cloud environment for that matter, you need to have a switch on and off. Again, keep this in mind because we'll come back to it and we'll show you how MWM actually plays a part in this. MWM is that switch that you can use in various ways. Either you can manually do it or you can automate it and make sure that you optimize the cost on your AVD service on the cloud. Right? So as you see, it has gone through an evolution, and even more so now with the cloud based structures, you need a management platform on top of that, right? And that is where the MWM comes into play. Now, if you have any questions on any of these, please go ahead, add it in the chat. And I would also like to hear, again, I know everybody uses physical laptops, right? I would also like to hear if anybody on this meeting here who has used any of the other deployment models other than the laptops. I would like to hear what they think and what their experience has been. And that would be a good feedback for us also on as to how to go ahead and build our future roadmap for MWM. Okay. Pratik, the next slide, please. Thanks. We talked about the management platform and the AVDs, but we have to start at the beginning. Is there really a need for it? And that is what we set out to find out. And this is what we have. Market analysis shows that in 2025, the global VDI market management market is close to 19.26 billion, growing at a rate of 22.1%, which means by 2030, it will reach 78.03 billion. And now, what does that mean for us? It clearly says that the AVDs, the VDIs, and the management platform are not niche market anymore. They have a role to play in our current business as secured endpoints. Everybody's going to be using it in the in the near future, and we should be a part of that. We cannot be left behind. So there is a huge potential for the AVD and the management platform on top of it moving forward. Now, breaking that down into specifically for AVDs in the US and India market, the two markets that we are focusing on currently, you can see that in the US market, currently it stands at 1.5 billion, growing at a 19% growth rate. You expect to see around 5 billion plus in 2030. In India market, currently it is around 0.5 billion, growing at a 15.8% growth rate. You will expecting to see around 1.2 billion market cap for these AVDs and the management platforms by 2030. And who's driving these market revenues right now? It's driven by companies like Nerdio and ControlUp and MS India, right? And what is driving? What is the drivers for these revenues in the market right now? Hybrid workforce. When we talk about cloud virtual desktops, one of the advantages it provides is it makes it device agnostic. I can start off a work on my laptop and then I move on to my phone. I can continue my work there because I have access to the cloud both from my laptop and my phone and iPad, right? It makes it cloud and device agnostic, which means that it supports hybrid workplace. And currently, with the IT services being what it is, a transformation that they are undergoing, it fits in perfectly well for scenarios where people need to be working from both the office and work and the travel in between. Also, the cloud environment lends itself purely for automation, and that's one of the major requirements that you need in the modern workspace management, right? The idea here is to make sure that you bring up the automation wherever you can, and that's where the market and the business is also heading towards, right? We need to automate anything and everything that is possible, and the cloud lends and the VDI of our services lends itself to it. When it comes to India, the digital India movement that's happening right now is a big driver for these VDAs and AVDs and market management platforms, right? And small, middle, medium business, which is predominantly the market in India right now. They are the biggest customers for AVDs and these market management platforms. Why is that? Because SMBs do not need to take up the IT overhead of running the IT and managing it. Right? They want to focus on their core business. So what you need for that is IT endpoint solution that takes all the maintenance out of their hands. And that is exactly what AVD is, and that's exactly what the NWM platform tries to provide for our customers. Again, this is all the market's view that you get right now, right? It is the market is large, it is growing pretty fast at a high rate, right? And it is shifting towards Microsoft native automation first solutions for when it comes to endpoints, right? All of this tells me just one thing, right? We are in the right track with our product here. There is going to be a huge demand for AVDs and the market management platform now and in the near future. Can we move on to the next slide, Pratik? Now that we looked at a view of the marketplace and the need for it, then we'll talk about what the platform actually is. What is MWM and how is it built differently from the rest of the pack? Right? It is not just another VDA tool. It is purpose built, looking at the market view, trying to understand what the gaps are, and we have tried to fill up all those gaps through features in our platform. And it is built for the growing AI era that we are seeing right now. And we'll talk about why that there's a specific use case where it fulfills the AI side of things for the market. And we look at it as part of the future next slides. Can we move on? And here's where we are talking about. So when we talk about the features that the MWM brings to the table, it's zero capex model. As like every other cloud solution that you build, it is completely OPEX. There's no CAPEX there, right? Which means it largely improves your TCO. And on top of that, when it comes to AVDs, it eliminates the hardware refresh cycles that is needed for any endpoint. All of this contributes to close to 42.5% lower TCO on your solution. And then, like I talked about, the switch that you need to switch on and switch off your cloud consumption bill, it helps in the per seat optimization. MWM comes with its own auto start and stop, which can either be triggered and scheduled, right? Which means you don't have to do any intervention. You can set it up for a specific time and set it off at a specific time if you know your shift timings. And this largely contributes to reducing your Azure consumption and helps optimize your cost. The next one is zero touch onboarding. Like I said, once that initial implementation is done, where we understand your requirements, we have set up the environments for you and all that. When it comes to the actual onboarding process, all you need to know is select the appropriate role and the environment, and then you're good to go. Within minutes, the environment is set up for you and the resources are onboarded onto your environment. And this takes nothing more than 10 minutes for you. Those were days where, and especially with IT people who have worked with the laptops, they will understand the pain of onboarding their employees onto it, or even doing the refresh cycles. Where, let's say, November, when Microsoft went with shut down my Windows 10 support, all those laptops that had Windows 10 running had to be brought back in, had to be refreshed to Windows 11, tested, and then sent back out. Now, that in itself, we are talking about onboarding process that runs to days. This is taken care of within minutes. So that's how useful our AVD endpoints are with the MWM. The next few features that we talk about is purely about how you reduce your Azure footprint using the VMs and the licensing. One of the areas that the AVDs and our MWM support is concurrent licensing, which means, let's say you are in a situation where you have multiple shifts and you have people coming in those separate shifts. Now, if you are using a laptop, for instance, you would have to issue a laptop for each of your employee, irrespective of which shift he comes in. Now, but that changes completely when you are using the AVD and the MWM. You can assign it in such a way that you can assign the same VM to two different users in two different shifts, which means you are consolidating on the Windows license, right? Reducing your cost overall, and also you're reducing the VM footprint on Azure. Similarly, with Windows 11 multi-session options that you have, if you have a good understanding of what your user workloads are, you can clearly identify the configuration that you need for your VM and make sure you have bundle in 2 or 3 user sessions within the same VM. Again, this helps in reducing your VM footprint on Azure and eventually your Azure consumption. Now, MWM is an enterprise grade solution, which also means that it should come with its own enterprise grade security features. Right? We do have the TPM 2.0. We do have the Defender EDR under the hood. It does adhere to the zero trust architecture policies, which all it means is you have fewer incidents and your device is completely compliant 24/7. When it comes to audit, there's no issues there. You are already compliant and all the reports are already out there for you to use. And that is how important the security features out of the model, our MWM solution is when it comes to taking care of the security, audit, and compliance. If any, and these are very important areas that you need to think about when you're getting into the solution. So if there is anybody out there who has any other questions around any of the features, again, this is just the high level features. If you have any questions on any of the areas where you think we have not touched upon, do feel free to add it in the chat. We will address those features after the call during the Q&A session. Can we move on? We talked about all those features. Why do we need those features? Now, the MWM platform was not built to be a single industry solution. We looked at the various industries that are there. We looked at our customer base, and we are tried to understand what the requirements are, and we have brought all those requirements into this MWM platform. May it be the IPA compliance that you need for a regulated environment. May it be the PCI DSS controls that you need in your solution that is required in the financially regulated industries like the banks. Also, it caters to, and this is something that I mentioned already before. This solution was built with the AI era in our minds. Through this endpoint, we are able to provide easy access to your GPUs and also make sure that the access to the GPUs are optimized to the extent that it doesn't cost you more than what it should. And this we do through that on-off switch that we talked about in the previous slide on the features. And this is needed for AI startups because GPU access is not easy to get. And it's available mostly on the cloud. It's not going to be available on the data centers that easily, right? But when you get it on the cloud, you need to make sure that it is available for you only when you need it, and you're not charged for the time when you don't need it. And our MWM solution makes sure that this happens for you. Thus, we not only make the GPU available for you, we also make sure that it is available at a cost optimized feature for you. Also, the very idea of the MWM is to make sure that it is on the cloud, it is device agnostic, which means it lends itself to use cases like the M&A integrations. It lends itself, we already talked about this before, it lends itself to use cases like hybrid workforce. These are just some of the use cases that we can talk about right now in the limited time that we have. But we cater to a whole lot of other areas. Like again, I'm not even those on the slides here. I'm not touched about is multi-region failovers, which is needed for enterprise grade environments. I've not talked about geofencing. I've not talked about session recording and all. I don't want to go to each and every feature here. I just want to touch upon the main areas that we will cover. Right. Again, and if you have any questions on any of these features, please do bring it up during the Q&A session. We'll be more than happy to take it up. Can we move on? So far, we talked about everything that the MWM brings to the table. Now, quickly, we'll turn around and we will look at what does it take to get it in terms of the pricing. We'll talk about why we have come up with these pricing layers. And then we'll also talk about how do we go about implementing it for you guys. Moving on. The MWM consists essentially of two deployment layers. If you look at it, one is the actual platform itself, which is the MWM, and then the virtual desktop that MWM spins up for our customers. Based on that, there are three different ways in which we can deploy it for our customers, and accordingly, we have three different pricing tiers. The first one is the hosted model, where both the MWM and the AVDs are set up in our environment. We build it, we run it, and we support it. Why do we need this? There are startup companies that do not want to take the overhead of running an IT. They do not want to take the overhead of maintaining an IT. All they want to do is focus on their core strengths. We help those startup companies in this respect by hosting it for them on our subscriptions. Similarly, if there's a customer who wants to take the MWM on a trial run, we lend them the hosting feature so that they can get used to it, understand it before they make the actual commitment. And that is why we have this hosted tier. The second tier is a managed tier where the MWM is set up in our environment, but it spins up the AVDs on the customer's subscription. Why do customers need this? Let's say you have a customer who already has an Azure footprint and they already have Windows and Microsoft 365 licenses that they want to reuse. right? By running the MWM on our side, we make sure that we support it from our end, taking that effort out of our customers. And by creating those AVDs in a customer subscription, we make sure that they are able to reuse the licenses that they already have. They don't have to go and buy new licenses. And if they have already an Azure environment, they already have a Mac agreement, most probably. They can attribute the AVD Azure consumption against their Mac commitments. That is why we came up with this managed tier. The third tier is the enterprise tier, where the MWM and the AVD all is set up in the customer environment. These are customers who probably don't need any of their solutions running outside of their environments, maybe for regulation purposes. And by setting it up completely in the customer's subscription, we can also provide enterprise grade features for them, like advanced threat protection, multi-region DR. If they already have a cloud DR in place, we can easily integrate with that, right? And along with that, we can also provide enterprise grade support for them. Thus, our MWM deployment tiers can be split into three different types, and accordingly, we can price it. That's why we come up with these three pricing tiers for our MWM solution. Next page, please. So, what does it take to set it up for our customers? We need a maximum of 10 days, 2 weeks to set it up. The first week is all about, at least the first 2 days is all about doing the assessment, trying to understand the customer's environment, trying to understand their security fabric, their current environment, their compliance requirements, etc. Right? Once we have an idea of what their environment is and what they need in the Azure VD environment that they want to set up, we go ahead and set up the foundation elements first in days 3 and 5, which includes the Entra ID configuration. It includes the code platform services. It includes this IAC setup and DevOps pipeline, etc. Right? And then we also set up their security and compliance fabric for them. Once the foundation elements are set up, then we look at the customization layer on top of it, which includes how do you set up the roles and responsibilities that this particular customer organization needs. What are the third-party interfaces that needs to be set up? How are they handling SSO right now? How do we want to set it up for them on the cloud, etc. Right? Those are the customizations that we do. Once all of this is done, then we go through a round of testing with the customers, days 8 and 9 in week 2. Make sure that we have the testing completely taken care of, and then we move on to go live. Once it has gone live, we sit with the customer's backseat and then try to understand if there are any bottlenecks or performance tuning that needs to be done. Once we have taken care of all of that, we do a complete handover to them. And this is how the implementation framework works for setting up the MWM solution. Next slide, please. Now we will jump quickly into the technical architecture, and this is where I will hand it over to Shweta, who's our technical SME, to run through the architecture. Shweta, all yours.
Thank you, Narsir, for explaining all those things. First of all, thank you everyone to joining the call. When we started the call, there was very less people joined, but now we have some number of people. So thank you once again. And I'm going to explain how MWM technical architecture and a reference architecture both. Pratik, can you go to the next slide? So let's talk about multi-tenant architecture. MWM is designed for securely support multiple tenant or customer in the same environment and keeping their environment separately. So in this multi-tenant, which includes isolation, date, separated data, provisioning. Each tenant gets its own dedicated subscription. Its own dedicated environment in the multi-tenant architecture. And next is the security architecture, where we have defense encryption model. This will ensure that each customer gets a secure and isolated environment, which predictable, repeatable deployment. So next we have identity and access management, then endpoint protection and security, data loss prevention. So let's talk about in identity and access management, where we have this section covers how user authenticates and what they can access. Uh, it has capability of Azure Intra Identity for the identity, conditional access rules for role and risk, and RBAC roles, and also attribute-based access control, and MFA is enforced for the all users. And this will ensure only right person gets the right access at the right time, nothing extra. And next thing is endpoint protection and security, where it covers Intune, Defender, and Baseline. This layer ensures that all devices and workspaces connecting to the MWM remain secure. So Intune we're using for unified endpoint management. Defender is for real-time threat protection, and EDR enabled for advanced detection and response. With this, device and virtual desktop remain secure and compliant. Next thing is data loss prevention. So MWM also includes built-in loss prevention for to protect sensitive information. Uh, it has a feature of purview, tier one confidential data label, coverage across endpoint, email, cloud, and data stores, and DLP active. That this ensures data cannot be leaked, shared externally, and moved to unauthorized location. Uh, Next thing we have is compliance and audit. Finally, MWM brings everything together to strong compliance and audit capabilities. Uh, it has monitoring, logging standards. We are doing real-time monitoring dashboard. We have loggings via Azure Monitor and Analytics, and CIS, NIST, and MS Security benchmark we are using for compliance and audit. So go to the next step. You can see this is a technical architecture for MWM, where we have Azure tenant, Intune device management, subscription, Entra app registration, and MWM portal. So this will create a secure, scalable, and role-based environment. Uh, we'll start with the Azure tenant, where all identity and access management is handled through the Entra ID. Each user has a valid M365 license, enforced MFA, and is authenticated through the Entra ID. This ensures the user can securely access MWM and AVD environments. And second is app registration and secrets. To allow MWM portal or backend to interact with Azure, we create a app registration. This app registration provide application ID, secrets, and it has a access of Azure subscription. This enables MWM to deploy or manage Azure resources on behalf of the user. And next thing we have Intune device management, where you can see AVD1, AVD2, and AVD3. It has all three devices, where we can manage our all virtual devices. It has endpoint security, patch management, application deployment, and policy enforcement. This ensures all AVD session hosts remain secure and compliant. This Intune device management is to secure our AVD environment, AVD applications and patch. Everything will secure in the endpoint Intune device management. Uh, then next thing you can see here, downside, where we have when user logs into the MWM, they need to select the environment. When they select the environment, that user got access of the subscription, and this portal will check if uh, if the role if user's role is equals to admin, then they can see the data related to the users who is available in the uh, that environment. They can approve or reject the request. They can request the resource creation, and they can see all data related to the AVD, if it is active or inactive, and how much uses is there for the one single AVDs. Everything admin has that privilege. And if that user doesn't have a role admin, then they can only see the data belongs to that user, and then they can request for the AVD updation. And when admin is requested for the use for the create request, this request will go to the admin who has a permission to review and approve the request. If that once the review once the request is reviewed and approved, it will send to the backend and create the resource. When it is initiated, the resource is getting created in the subscription. Here you can see two subscriptions is there, that comes with the environment. Which environment we are selecting? If we are selecting environment A, and it has a access of subscription A, then the resource will create in the subscription A. And each subscription has a different AVD environment, different AVDs. It has their own Azure policy. It has their own backup vault. Everything is secure with the subscription. So there is no data will uh, go to the one subscription to the another subscription. We cannot if user has access of only environment A, then they cannot see the data of environment B. So that's all in this architecture. uh, I want to show. Okay, so in this architecture, you can see there is security. For security, we are using a VNet, subnet, and application security group for the security purpose, where we are providing a security for the AVDs. And also there is RBAC rule, which doesn't which allows only user who is assigned to the specific AVD. No other user can access another AVD. Like if user A has access of AVD1, they cannot access AVD2. So this is all about this architecture. uh, let's go to the new next slide. Okay, so I want to show everyone our MWM demo, which is recorded. Are you getting the sound?
No, we're not.
Hello everyone. Today, I will give you a quick walkthrough of how MWM simplifies cloud operations with governance, security, automation, and intelligent actions control, all designed for IT teams, developers, HR onboarding teams, and cloud admins. Let's get started. So first, we need to log into MWM. Once we log into MWM, first screen we can see is the home page where you can see account information and profile information. In account information, you can see the environment and subscription. This environment is in one of the biggest challenges in cloud governance is mixing development, testing, and production, which is eliminated by MWM. In MWM, each environment runs on its own dedicated subscription. So each have their own subscription. So with all you need to select one environment and click on complete account setting. Once you complete your account setting, your environment is securely provisioned and all governance control pre-applied. Next thing you can see is a profile information where you can see the name, email ID, and role. This is the user's name and email ID, and what role this user has right now. So MWM uses attribute-based access control, meaning access is automatically derived from user role, environment, project assignment, or department attributes. User only get access to what that attribute allow, nothing more. So even admins has scoped visibility. They can't view every project, only the roles and projects which is assigned to them. This will ensure the compliance while enabling controlled operations. When you go to the workspaces, you can see several number of uh, workspace management tasks is available, like auto scheduling, manage tags, create resource, pending approvals. So these are automation. So MWM is providing a powerful automation engine that will for start and stop scheduling, automated provisioning workspaces, environment provisioning, enforcing compliance and tagging, policy-based automation. This will reduce manual work and free IT teams to focus on innovation. Let's uh, let's create one resource. When you go to create resource, you can see five options. That is a request type. What kind of request you are going to raise, which is build, import, update, destroy, and restore. Build is for create any resource. Import if you have already created any resource in your Azure subscription, and if you want to import in MWM, you can use this option. If you want to update any resource, like if you are using ABD of 4 GB RAM and 4 GB is not enough, you want to update it to 8 GB or 16 GB, you can raise a request through this update. Next thing is destroy. Destroy is for destroying any resource. If you want to delete any resources like AVD resource group, AVD environment, we can delete using this destroy option. And last one is the restore. Restore is for if you have deleted any resources and you want to restore it, like you deleted one AVD 10 days before and you want to restore it, you can restore using this restore option. So when you these all workflow is ITSM workflow. MWM ensure no resource is created without governance. Every operation follows a structure flow: request, review, approval, and automated provisioning. For example, HR raise a request for new employee. IT admin reviews and approves. Resources are provisioned automatically within a minutes after approving. So this will remove manual coordination and ensure completely auditability. So let's create one resource. Let's see how it is working. So when you click on build resource, you can see some number of resources we can create using MWM portal. So let's select one resource. I'm selecting Azure Virtual Desktop Workstation. Select it. Once you select, you need to provide some information for which user you are going to create AVD. And for which environment you're going to create. I'm going to select MWM development. User, I'm going to select Pratik. Then workstation type is medium. Then go to the next step. In next step, you need to select the AVD environment for compute schedule. Select frequency, start and stop time. If you want, you can change it from here. After that, you need to submit the request. Once you submit the request, you will see all requests went to the pending approvals. When you come to the pending approvals, you can see a request is created for approvals. So this you can see the username, product name, created date, status, action, everything you can see here. And in the pop-up JSON, you can see the full information about the resource which is for which request is created. This is fully ITSM flow. Let's go to the now go to the dashboard. When you open the dashboard, you will see here, first thing you can see AVD environment. You need to select the AVD environment, which AVD environment you want to see the data. I have selected MWM DNV. So here I can see total number of workstation, active workstations, total number of users, system metrics, billing, workspaces, status, which is active, which is inactive. We can see recommendation if it is available. Right now there is no recommendations. So this is what dashboard will show. No cross environment or cross project visibility is there. This will ensure the transparency with strict security boundaries. MWM is designed for IT teams for governance, approvals, provisioning, automation, cloud admins. It is designed for developer or tester, for self-service, with governed access. It is designed for HR teams, finance teams, security teams. In MWM, to strengthen the cloud security, MWM automatically applies environment-specific VNets, network security group, zero trust access boundaries, rules, and attribute-based access control, list privilege visibility for all users. This control ensure the platform stays secure, compliant, and enterprise ready.
You are on mute, Shweta.
So as you saw in the demo, every step from authentication, RBAC validation, request creation, approval workflow, and finally the resource deployment is fully automated and integrated with Azure native services. So that's all from my side for the demo and architecture diagram. Now I will hand it over to Narsi for the to continue the next part. Thank you.
Pratik, can you bring up the partner business model slides? Before we wind up, I just also want to look at the business model behind the solution. That's fine. That's where you are. Pratik, you are there in the right place. Now, if you look at the MWM solution stack, it can be uh, divided into three separate layers. The first one is a thin client hardware, where the customer has the option to refresh his thick client, thus reducing his cost to a thin client, because that is all the need of the hour when it comes to the actual device for in the MWM solution, right? Now, to that extent, it is useful for the customer, but it also opens up the thin client inventory for our partners. Thus, if you just take that lowermost layer, it is beneficial for both our customers and our partners. The middle layer is all about the Windows and the M365 licensing. And we already talked about how the MWM features helps consolidate the licenses for our customers. So thus, the customers can actually reassess the licensing needs on the MWM, okay, and then run it through our partners to who can then reissue or upsell the M365 plans. So thus again, the MWM solution helps both our customers and our partners. Right at the top, you have the MWM, which is the platform, which is our actual revenue that we get. The Tech solution, the only area where we get the revenue is out of the platform. And then the AVDs that gets created through the platform, which lends itself to the Azure consumption for our customers. Now, customers who already have the Azure plan, they can attribute the Azure consumption to their MAC commitments, and thus it is very helpful for them in that respect. As you can see, end to end, if you look at it, one solution is able to adhere to the business needs of three different revenue streams here. And it is a win-win for our customers, it is a win for our partners, and it is a win for ourselves, which is the Duchuki Tech Solutions. Right. So that is the business model in which our solution is built on. Now, we do have a few off-the-shelf sales enablement kits that are available that helps both our customers and our partners. Let's take a look at it quickly before we wind up this conversation. Pratik, can you move on to the next slide? First, we have the interactive ROI calculator, which is essentially the end-to-end view of the cost structure that the customer will go through. Right? It helps our customers to understand the kind of investment that they need to make and what are the ROIs that they can expect from this investment. Right? It starts off with the capacity planner to the actual cost of setting up the solution to the ROI numbers that they can expect because of the cost that they incur. Right. The second one is a pilot program and the free trials available. Customers have the flexibility to experience and get to know the MWM solution before they make their investments through these free trials and also the pilot programs. That way, you get a feel for what you are getting yourself into. Third one is a free assessment. Nothing like cold hard facts, right? When we do the assessment and show you how we can save the endpoint cost for you, what are the features that you don't have right now that we can bring to the table through the solution, and through the audit assessments, when we can show you the kind of security loopholes that are currently there in the environment and those that we help fix through the solution, it's a no-brainer after that. So these are some of the main sales enablement tools that are available right now, which the customers can experience, the partners can take it off the shelf and use it to take the solution to their markets. And with that, I would like to bring an end to this conversation here. We will open up the sessions for any question and answers. But before that, I would like to extend a big thank you for everybody who's out here. Uh, Thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk to you about our MWM solution. Just remember, MWM provides a secure, flexible AVD platform of choice for you with measurable cost savings, and that's the most important thing, right? It is built for the customers. It was built with the customers and the partners and ourselves in mind. And if you have any questions or if you want to take a look at the features more in detail, the link is provided here for the MWM landing page. Please go ahead, go take a look, run it, see